Frisby is on her way home, bringing her scientific piece of medicine. She began to notice that the sun was light in the sky, and worried that she would not be home before nightfall. She is left with this decision to make.
Oh dear, if I take the roundabout way home that I had come, I would surely end up walking alone in the dark.
A frightening prospect. For a night, the forest was alive with danger.
The other way is dangerous too, but with luck it will get me home before dark.
That would be to take a straighter route across the farm road between the barn and the chicken house, going not too close to the house, cutting the distance home by half. The cat dragon would be there somewhere, but by daylight and by staying in the open, away from the shrubs, she could probably spot him before he saw her.
When at length she came abreast of the barn, she saw the cattle wire fence that marked the other end of the pasture. And as she approached it, she was startled by a sudden outburst of noise.
Caw! 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 What is that awful noise? A hen screaming from the chicken yard caught by a fox?
She looked down at the fence and saw there was no hen at all, but a young crow flapping in the grass.
As she watched, he fluttered to the top wire of the fence, where he perched nervously for a moment, then he spread his wings, flapped hard, and took off. But after flying 4 feet, he stopped with a snap and crashed to the ground again, showing fully the black feathers and squawking loudly.
It was tied to a fence, a piece of something silvery. It looked like wire. It was tangled around one of his legs. The other end of it was caught in the fence. Mrs. Frisby walked closer, and then she could see it was not wire after all, but a length of silver colored string, probably left over from the Christmas packet. The crow was sitting on a fence, pecking ineffectively at the string with his bill, calling softly to himself a miserable sound.
Caw! Caw! Caw!
After a moment, he spread his wings, and she could see he was going to try and fly again.
Wait!
Said Mrs. Frisby. The crow looked down and saw her in the grass.
Why should I wait? Can't you see I'm caught? I've got to get loose.
But if he makes so much noise, then the cat is sure to hear. If he hasn't heard already.
You would make noise too if you were tied to a fence with night coming on.
I would not,
said Mrs. Frisby.
If I had any sense and knew there was a cat nearby, who'd tell you?
She was trying to calm the crow, who was obviously terrified.
He looked embarrassed and stared at his feet.
I picked up the string. It got tangled with my foot. I sat on the fence to try to get it off, and it caught in the fence.
Why did you pick up the string?
The crow, who was very young indeed, in fact only a year old, said wearily,
Because it was shiny.
You knew better.
I have been told.
Bird brain, thought Mrs. Frisby, and then recalled what her husband used to say. The size of the brain is no measure of its capacity, and well she might recall it, for the crow's head was double the size of the brain.
Sit quietly,
she said.
Look towards the house and see if there's the cat.
I don't see him, but I can see behind the bushes. Oh, if I can only fly higher.
Don't!
Said Mrs. Frisby. She looked at the sun. It was setting behind the trees. She thought of Timothy and the medicine she was carrying. Yes, she knew she could not leave the foolish crow there to be killed, and killed he surely would be before sunrise, just for want of a few minutes' work. She might still make it by dusk if she hurried.
Calm down here,
she said.
I'll get the string off.
How?
Said the crow respectfully.
Don't argue, I only have a few minutes.
She said this in a voice so authoritative that the crow fluttered down immediately.
But if the cat comes?
He said.
But if the cat comes, I'll knock you off the fence with one jump and catch you with the snaps. Who tied you?
She was already at work with her sharp teeth gnawing at the string. It was twined and twisted and twined again around his riding coat, and she saw she would have to cut through it 3 times to get it off.
As she finished the second strand, the crow, who was staring towards the house, suddenly cried out,
I see the cat!
Quiet!
whispered Mrs. Frisby.
Does he see us?
I don't know. Yes, he's looking at me. I don't think he can see you.
Stand perfectly still. Don't get in a panic.
She did not look up but started on the third strand.
He's moving this way.
Fast or slow.
Medium. I think he's trying to figure out what I'm doing.
She cut through the last strand, gave a tug, and the string fell off.
There, you're free. Fly off and be quick.
But what about you?
Maybe he hasn't seen me yet.
But he will. He's coming closer.
Mrs. Frisby looked around. There was not a bit of cover anywhere near. Not a rock, nor a hole, nor a log. Nothing at all closer than the chicken yard, and that was in the direction the cat was coming from, and along the rock.
Look,
Said the crow.
climb on my back.
Mrs. Frisby did what she was told, first grasping the precious packages of medicine tightly between her teeth.
Are you on?
Yes.
She ripped the feathers on his back, felt the beat of his powerful black wings, felt the dizzying upward surge, and shut her eyes tight.
Just in time.
Said the crow. She heard the angry scream of the cat as he leaped at where they had just been.
It's your luck you're so light. I can scarcely tell you're on.
Lucky indeed, thought Mrs. Frisby. If it had not been for your foolishness, I'd never got into such a scrape. However, he thought it was not wise to say so, under the circumstances.
Where do you live?
Asked the crow.
In the golden patch near the big stone.
I'll drop you off there.
He thanked alarmingly, and for a moment Mrs. Frisby thought he meant literally. A few seconds later, so fast did the crow fly, they were gliding to earth a yard from her front door.
Thank you very much.
Said Mrs. Frisby, hopping to the ground.
It is I who should be thanking you.
Said the crow.
You saved my life.
You and you're mine.
Ah, but that's not quite even. Yours wouldn't have been risked if it hadn't been for me and my piece of string.
And since this was just what she had been thinking, Mrs. Frisby did not argue.
Well, we all help one another against the cat.
She said.
True, just the same. I am debt with you. I hope you will ask me. My name is Jeremy. Mention it to any crow you see in these woods, and he will find me.
Thank you.
Said Mrs. Frisby.
I will remember.
Jeremy flew away to the woods, and she entered her house, taking the 3 dozen missing with her.